We good? I think it's a little bit cropped. All right, good enough. We got there. So how are we looking? All right. So the basics pretty simple. Vulnerable. I'm trying to remember. Why am I blanking out completely on what vulnerable means right now? It's not breach. Who on the ground has vulnerable? It's not Anakin. No, it is Anakin. Oh, vulnerable is just guaranteed crits. Gotcha. Okay, okay. So what, I guess, based on sequencing with armor, everyone else would be assumed to work with, or be guaranteed to crit right after. Depending on the ordering, assuming that she's attacking early in that order. And at the very least, you would be guaranteed to get that for later Canderous sets, even if she was, like, late in the order. Let's see. Dispel. So the biggest issue with the Dispel is it can be evaded. So this has evasion RNG. This can be blocked by foresights. A little bit of a bummer. Missing a little bit of flair. But hey, I mean, Dispel plus Daze is pretty sick. You don't usually see those paired together pretty much ever that I can think of. I mean, not in an AoE, at the very least. Like JTR Mind Tricks and I think one or two other abilities could do it single target. Unique as well. This is a quick read. Basically, everyone gets 100% max protection, and then assists recover 8% max health and protection. I mean, that's a pretty solid regen value as well. Like, the team should, ideally... We'll see how things play out, but you'd like to think that there's a lot of attacks out of turns happening. 8% protection is plenty to play with here. Yo, Infinum. Thanks for the raid. Welcome, everyone. Actually, I should change my title real quick. We're looking at Katan. Yeah, it was convenient timing. I don't know, maybe CG just meant to do this with the Starter Conquest. Who knows? It's a news day today. We're figuring it out. This is a very short kit so far, though. Honestly, I kind of just wish I read this first, though, because this is going to be what we ultimately... This is the value judge, right? This is, can we care about Mandalorians as a faction now or not? Okay, when a Mandalorian ally uses a basic ability during the turn, they call another random Mandalorian ally to assist with a slight damage penalty. So we have kind of like a Karth lead thing going on, which I'm actually kind of happy about. Karth lead was fun. The problem with Karth lead was that it was extremely passive. I wonder if we're going to end up seeing that here as well. I mean, at the very least, Armor is a fast character. We're not seeing any speed mechanics. When they attack out of turn, they gain critical damage until the end of their next turn. So also kind of reminds me a little bit of Mission in the Karth team. Mission was a character who could stack up offense pretty effectively, like a lot over time. And in her case, it was a 2-turn countdown. But I mean, I guess you could also look at this as just, it's not even just assisting necessarily, it's also just counterattacks. Start of the encounter, you gain Answer's armor ability. So this is Thrawn lead, but essentially, instead of getting Terminator, evens up a taunt is actually a pretty nice pairing. That's like, think about Sith Trooper and how much even like a Gear 12 Sith Trooper can still just get away with tanking. Tenacity up is not bad either. This is a 2-turn taunt is almost a little bit awkward. I really like this dynamic though. This feels cool to me. I assume so. If we're talking about defensive viability, Thrawn lead does kind of just get spammed a lot. This could throw off the AI's ability to execute properly, but at the very least, it could also add some unpredictability. I think this is like the most access we've seen a team ever get to somewhat repeatable taunts. I mean, 2-turn taunt, 4-turn cooldown. Team doesn't really have a tank, so I guess the idea is just that everyone's a tank. This is weird to analyze. I almost want to look at the other changes first, because it's hard to say. Did they remove the Terminator gain? Wait, whoa. Excuse me? I'm in game right now. No, okay. So the Terminator was on the other one, so that's potentially unchanged. Did they still not fix him, actually? Oh, God. Okay. So this is kind of just nothing. So it seems like they're doing what we thought they might be doing, which is a little bit less spicy than I was hoping for. They're just writing in Mandalorian next to any existing faction synergy. But also, is it just Canderous and Sabine that are getting updated? I'm gonna go check. I mean, also, it's worth noting with the unique. We're gonna go like top to bottom in a second here. This is the read through, since we're kind of just doing this live. This is whenever a Mandalorian ally attacks out of turn, this heals everyone, which is actually a pretty big deal. That's very, 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 very big. It means that like suddenly armor piece kind of becomes a team sustain option. And obviously as well, this like the lead here, you can combine ancestral armor with the armor piece target and just kind of go to town with that. It's not bad. You can work with that. Are there any Mandalorian characters at all with a tank tag? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. I'm pretty sure she also isn't one. Yeah, she's an attacker. That figures. Is Gar a tank? Gar is a tank. Okay. So I was trying to go down like an armor line real quick of like, could we go like armor or what? Try to get some extra Terminator gain. Try to get some extra team sustain. Like a Terminator gaining counter tank almost. I was wanting to believe that like we could almost do like a Mandalorian Beskar armor piece, like OG Mando, not a Beskar Mando. Where you give them Watt piece They aren't a tank, but they could taunt-ish. And then they would just start counterattacking and protection regen spamming. I don't think that's going to be a thing, though. Yeah, Simeon as well. Looks largely the same. It's just written to function for Mandalorians as well. Kind of disappointed that we don't see Gar Saxon mentioned. I mean, I guess the only real factional stuff they had was his lead, so I guess I didn't really want to mess with that at all. I guess that's fair, right? Alright. I guess let's just go top to bottom. So, I mean, obviously right off the bat, she's an attacker. I think it's going to be somewhat difficult to force her to work at 3 stars unless, like, if you've got a Relic Canderous, like, his pop-ups could just end up being so insane that he's, like, too good not to use with this team, then you just give her, like, tank money to keep her alive, because a lot of this kit is written around she needs to stay alive. I mean, not a lot, actually. This is very weird wordings from CG. The squad can no longer benefit from Bo-Katan's unique if she is defeated. But the way that it's written, it's half and half. You should be keeping the regen. Also, where is the first time she is defeated coming from? Is CG imagining like can like Hera Syndulla? I guess there are a few ways that you could get her to revive, right? Well, like revives aren't really part of Mandalorian's repertoire, let's say. Yeah, okay. I mean, like Gideon off the bat, amusingly, maybe a little bit tragically, sounds pretty good here. Basic is very, very simple, very hard to rate. I mean, vulnerable is not bad in a mass assist. That's some decent utility. I mean, we saw it in like Poe for resistance Zero Poe specifically. Otherwise, deal 50% more damage will be good to have if she's high relic. And might. It's just, there's very, very little utility here. So this is just going to be, like, hopefully she's a good number stick. What hope? Given how little she has going on here, I need to come up with a compromise, because I want to do, like, a 5-star rating instead of, like, out of 10. I want it to be out of 5. But even abilities like this, how do you out of 5 this? With that, like in the kit analysis videos, when we have the SWH.GG stats, we can do that. We know that information. We're flying blind right now. 6 out of 5, sure, whatever. It's good stuff. Ability's okay. Hopefully it hurts. Deal 50% more damage. You have that effect with the stacking critical damage. Should be good. We don't know. It could just be like a really bad ratio unless she assists, and then it's fine. It could be a normal ratio when it's normal, and then when she assists, it's just nuts. It could be a bunch of things. We have no way to tell right now. So, plain ability. I mean, this is fairly plain kit overall, but just I mean, for an actual rating, there's plenty to work with here. I think I'm leaning a 4 out of 5, even though the effects here on paper are nuts. Think about the difference between like a Scion AoE versus... God, what's a dispel that can be evaded in this game anymore? I guess Death Trooper Grenade? But, like, everyone has Death Trooper. Well, not everyone. I didn't until a few days ago. Like, pre-Gear 13 Death Trooper that had, like, that didn't have the extra accuracy from relics. Like, this will just miss sometimes. Like, 2% of the time, to be exact. And feel bad. This will get blocked by Foresight and feel kind of unfortunate. But for the most part, I mean, this is almost even closer to a 5. Just in terms of actual impact, it's pretty sick. Also, it's actually worth noting, hopefully that she actually could just be strength attacker. So she could actually just get accuracy from relics, which would actually honestly put this more towards a 5 out of 5. The foresight issue still being an issue, but you would sidestep the invasion RNG part of it. I'd say a 5 out of 5 if SDR attacker. That's my read. But yeah, it's also very important to note that it's a dispel before the days, so it will get rid of tenacity down. That's also pretty sick. Trying to think what else. Oh, it's ED. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for the follow. I mean, we'll see where she's at on base speed. She doesn't really have any Terminator game mechanics. I don't think that she could like chain off of an armor and pre-daze a team or anything crazy. So like a daze, like we know it in kind of the sense of Nest usually, of like a fast character who just goes for like, ah, the battle started, your daze, what's up? It's hard to know where this is going to stand until we know what her base speed is. Obviously, her lead doesn't have any speed, so if she's looking to win any foot races, she's already starting on the back foot. Yeah. It's fine. It's good. I like it. It's a solid ability. There's plenty crammed in here. I don't think there's a whole lot to theorycraft with exactly. You know, you could say like a Sabine Bo-Katan chain. You like, it's the same thing with I used to try to do this with Chewie back in the day. Back when my Chewie kind of sucked. Is like you could go like Sabine clocked right before Bo-Katan. Very, very simple concepts. You just hit the AoE stagger. Hit the AoE stagger, you hit the daze. Pretty hard to be mad at that. Just a nice synergy overall. But again, that's kind of like, if that was going to be like an opening control combo, you're not like, this is just a very fast meta. Teams have so much speed in the leads or starting Terminator mechanics. And like the closest that we have to that here is just like Armor is a pretty fast character. And then the Mass Assist will just call Canderous to assist and give him a lot of Terminator. And then Canderous will be fast too. And then that's just the end. It's just it. The enemy team just goes and you're at their mercy. I mean, you are pretty bulky with everything, I will say. But do you think the fact that she's a marquee puts her near certification or guarantee for GL requirements? I don't think we're at a Mandalorian GL point, to be honest, folks. I think we're at a Heroes or Journey Continues. It's gonna be like what they did with Jedi Knight Luke's event, right? That's my read. I just don't know that we have enough from the show to be worth a Galactic Legends. You personally saw her as a legendary? I'm not as close with the show as most people are. I mean, she's liked, but I don't know if she was necessarily a prominent character. Yeah, Mary Jade, that's kind of my read as well. And when you think about it too, I mean, I guess mild spoilers, but the next season isn't coming at the end of this year. The next season is coming next year. So it's gonna be a bit before we're ever even talking about Mandalorian Galactic Legends. Links into a Clone Wars for CWGL. I could see that. Yeah. We could be headed that direction. I don't know. Like, I think, so if we think about it this way, every single Galactic Legend that we've gotten so far has come with a marquee pairing. If it is going to be a Clone Wars Galactic Legends, I don't, like, Gideon and Dark Trooper aren't that, right? It would need to be something Dark Side Clone Wars era for it to make sense. Have I seen today's data mine? I have not. This all just kind of started dropping as I went live. Oh, are you just talking about the app icons? I did see those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I read too much into Maul being there, especially because it's Yoda on the flip side. Like, we've gotten... I feel like we've gotten plenty of app icons before that were... like, characters people, like, saw it and freaked out and then it ended up being nothing. If it was, like, Maul plus Ahsoka as icons, then I would feel like there's no spice. It's Yoda. We got Yoda in the game. I don't know that we would ever see a new version of Yoda. At least personally. I'd see the Maul connection? Maybe. We'll see. Maybe if we get a new Maul version, then I would say, like, okay, maybe something's happening here. But, like... it's also just weird to me because we have Clone Wars General Kenobi already. We have Clone Wars General Skywalker already. I guess General Ahsoka would be a thing? Padawan Yoda. Yeah. We go in High Republic already? Is that the plan? Yeah. I don't know, hard to say. I don't necessarily have a read on this just yet. Like, we need CG to show us more of their hand before we can start trying to read them, I think. Too early in the game. Just yet. But also it means, at the very least, it means that we've got more time. Anytime a new marquee comes out, it just pushes the clock back on when an event could be coming. Crumb said that he started working on a puzzle, what, 2 weeks ago now? Goes Qui-Gon. Commander Tano? Yeah. Something like that. Something along those lines. I could definitely see that. Commander Tano because we can't have a Jedi because of JML. I could see a loophole wherein you could make a Jedi that was entirely written for Galactic Republic Jedi. But yeah, a Galactic Republic GL seems more likely. Season 7 of the Clone Wars looks like our next era to go to. I mean, Bad Batch is coming. You would think it's in CG's interests to be working towards that. Homies. I mean, look, man. I've already bought in on the Cam Farmer. If CG wants to give me a reason to have done that beyond just he's a good character, I'm here for it. I will be the last person to complain. Go back into the Clone Wars phase. I feel like there has to be a Journey Discontinuers or something, right? Like, there's actually 0% chance that CG has released Gideon, Dark Trooper, Bo-Katan, who else even? Armor. There's gonna be a Journey Continues. I don't think it's gonna be anything more than that. I don't think it's gonna be an epic confrontation. I don't think it's gonna be a Galactic Legends. Like, especially because I think that CG tends, like, you might laugh at this in the moment when I say this, but I think it kind of proves to be true. Is I think when the community responds positively, like, think about how positively everyone has responded to how they execute on the Jedi Knight Luke event. Like, the subreddit was, like, almost all positive posts. They were just like, oh, yes, thank you, this looks amazing, blah, blah, this and that. And same for the Mandalorian journey. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to just continue doing that. So, you know, I don't think it's out of the question Maybe we see 1 to 2 more marquees for season 2, and then we see a journey continues that goes through season 2 of The Mandalorian. I don't think it's going to be anything crazier than that. That's my read on it. I don't have any secret inside info. It's just my read. Yeah, the Yoda icon, you could call it a red herring or whatever. It's gonna be forever today before they release Bad Batch stuff. It seems like CG's trying to, like, Mandalorian Season 2 stuff kinda came out around the time that Mandalorian started. Kinda. I mean, the character came out, right? The journey came out, I think, kinda close to Season 2. So, I don't know. I mean, if they were going to make Bad Batch characters, if they were going to give Echo a basic Omega worth taking for once. Did that show get an announced release date? I think it's like March, right? Or May? Not March. We're literally in March. I'm pretty sure it's May. Yeah, it's May 4th. Of course. Of course. What? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, this ability is sick. Hopefully she's a strength attacker. I almost get the read that she might be agility, but you could also read that because she inflicts vulnerable, maybe they wouldn't make her agility. We're at like a 50-50 right now. She's not going to be attack attacker. Physical damage dealer is usually the deciding factor for that. Not always, but usually. So we're like 50-50 right now. Normally, I would consider strength attacker to be the worst relic, but for the most part, I never want to cast this ability, and it misses for a 2% dodge. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah, I like my abilities to be consistent. Also, is this the first kit reveal where they did the unique before the lead? That's kind of weird. I didn't do that. I copy pasted it in from the kit. All right. Moving right along. I mean, the unique is basically almost just a secondary lead. It's like a conditional lead that works until she dies. I mean, 100% bonus protection at match start, essentially. Very easy to mod around. Feels pretty good. Could also be very, very happy leaving this team at lower-ish relics if we're fighting a lot of percent health damage. I don't know, like a Padme fight or something. Not to say that Mandalorians will necessarily be well equipped to fight Padme, but or like a Malik Drain, for example, anything like that. Any tool that lets you buff up your protection to health ratio you're usually pretty happy about. Obviously, said the Eternal Emperor would eat this team for breakfast and thank them for desserts. But I don't think Mandalorians are necessarily gunning for the Eternal Emperor himself. I feel pretty good about this. It's very short, but everything it gives you is pretty nice. This isn't like blowing me away. I would say like this is a solid 4 to 5. Kind of like a utility stick. If this was one person gets 8% health and protection when they attack at a turn, I would be a little bit colder. The whole team, like just to give a quick example on this, Armor special is 40% health and protection heal suddenly. OG Mando, I still don't think you're going to be using him in this team, but OG Mando's assist call becomes a team heal a little bit. What are even the best usages? It's just not that many assist calls. This is the weird thing. We still don't... It's not like... This team just feels like very armor reliant right now. This team... Still... To this day... Does not have easy counterattack access outside of... Is it 2-stack or 3-stack? Yeah, it's 3-stack. So you can't even... Like, you have to get the... Most likely, you have to get the armor mass assist first turn and then just get to second turn and drop it. This faction is trying so hard to have a counterattack identity without having any actual counterattacks. It's ambitious, let's say. Yeah. I was hoping for some kind of effect that would make the whistling birds kind of crazy. You could argue, I guess, that maybe this isn't supposed to be the be-all, end-all Mando lead. I mean, it's fine. And I think that's why they wrote this unique, is maybe down the road she won't be the lead, but this still lets her be a leader, in a sense. But yeah. Like, any mass assist. Not even to go full spicy of a take. Like, Hermit Yoda already has huge roles in the meta, but like, Hermit Yoda over time could actually be pretty fun for this in like PvE as well, I think. You get that Master's Training built up. They get even extra, like, more bulk. And then he kind of becomes a secondary healer. Like an AoE Master's Training on top of the Equalize. You're just in a really sick spot. Alright, sorry. Yo, Kermit. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a good stream. How's it going? Yeah. We're making progress. We're getting through everything. I don't know. No, okay. For a second, I almost had a spicy take that GK lead here can almost be a thing. I'm pretty sure the way that GK lead works, though, is factional heals don't work for GK lead because it's not written or seen as a team-wide heal. So we're almost living in a world where Clone Wars Kenobi was going to be kind of fun or interesting in a Mandalorian team, giving them extra out-of-turn attacks. I don't think that's it, though, unfortunately. That was almost going to be kind of fun. This text feels really big. Is this text really big, or is my screen cap just smaller than usual? There's a very easy way to find out here. Oh my god. Huh. Well, that's a wake-up call. Alright, let's... embiggen. Assuming that's not going to murder the text quality. It's alright. It's workable. There we go. Alright. We got some stretching room now. The 6 out of 5 is a joke here. It's just impossible to rate this ability yet, so... For those of you coming in, I mean, the basic could be fine. It's just, it's gonna be a number stick. We have no idea what it does yet. Vulnerable's fine. It's neat. I don't really expect Mandalorians to have a hard time critting, but it does mean that you could kind of try to just ignore crit chance in your modding. Just maybe double down on offense. I don't mind having that. It's fine. It's solid. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, raids. The problem is just the bar for raids is so high relatively. And obviously as well, like a lot of the challenge rancor has protection strip. This loses a little bit of value on. I don't know if I really see it necessarily. You could maybe cheese out a little bit of well, no, you can't. This is the problem. Like if this team had a counterattack source, this could be like a phase 4 Zerg team. We just don't counter. The closest we were gonna get was like a Garrus Axe and lead rework that wrapped in Mandos a little bit, but not quite. I mean, I really don't want to call this car 3.0 or 2.0. We already had a car 2.0. Who was car 2.0? Whatever. Card 2.0. We don't get any extra speed out of gate, so we're kind of just like in armor we trust right now. And she's got the base speed to potentially carry it, but like that doesn't feel amazing. We've also got flavors of Karth of like we've got some defensive aspects. We've got constant assist spam on our basics. Unfortunately, it also does mean that you know, because you have to use a basic on your turn, it's the exact same decision-making mechanics as Karth lead. But Karth's team, for the most part, had pretty sick basics that you were kind of happy to spam. Like, Django has 2 specials. Mandalorian is kind of okay using his basic. OG Mando specifically. Beskar Mando is pretty much never wanting to use his basic. If you ever have to use his basic instead of a special, it feels really, really bad. Which does happen, but just, you know, keeping that in mind. I want to say that the armor and mass assists could end up calling someone with the lead, because you are using, right, you do the ability and then she calls herself to assist. She is using a basic ability during her turn, so she could, I don't know, like, you could hit like a double Canderous call there, which would feel pretty funny, I would assume. Yeah, like Sabine isn't wowing me beyond like you have, don't get me wrong, Sabine's grenade was always kind of sick. And like an AoE stagger. What's her base speed? Is Spogoku down? Where's my internet dead? Oh god. What level team do you think this would be? I think this would be better than a regular BAM team. Fortunately, no. Beskar Mando's team, despite having some issues, that website is just down right now, huh? Beskar Mando's team has some issues, but it has a core play pattern, and it does the thing that it wants to do well when you put it in situations where it can do that. You have Quail gives turn meter. You do Beskar Mando starts recording his whistling birds. You do AoE 1 giving tenacity down. You do AoE 2 probably doing turn meter removal or daze or ability block. Some mix of the 3 depending on like what scoundrel you're chucking in there. And then another one that does the same thing. And then the loop comes around and you're nuking someone. The Mandalorians, they have a lot of small tools that are cool and feel good. And I think that they have opportunities to feel fun in the moment. But if we're treating them as a competitive team, like, the best thing they have going for themselves... Oh god, the website finally works. So Sabine's 171, that's not bad. There's still no speed on the leadership though, which is a bit tragic. Oh. Maybe Bo-Katan leads a bit of a trap. Maybe we are just supposed to be looking at Beskar Mando lead. As sad as it feels to say. I like this. I like Ancestral Armor. I like the potential. I think it's going to have good opportunities for skill expression, where you can kind of like juggle taunts. Any juggle taunt mechanic is good. You kind of want them to be more automatic than manual. And a 4-turn cooldown is brutal as well. Like, very, very brutal. It's brutal for every character except for Canderous. Canderous is going to make 4 cooldown feel like 2, essentially. Arguably even less. The character is just ridiculous with his bug turn meter. As long as it stays bugged, I don't know if CG is gonna sneak in a fix as they... This is probably, I assume, the first time that they've looked at Canderous since his release. So, you know. Maybe they noticed it, maybe they didn't. Who knows? It's gonna be... We'll find out. The character hasn't exactly been problematic. I don't think that this is going to make him problematic either. I mean... This... bit right here could proc 3 times on one Canderous basic. I don't know for certain if it considers that to be 1 attack out of turn or 3. It's like it's 1 ability out of turn but 3 attacks out of turn. So I would lean towards assuming that this gives Canderous 75% crit damage immediately. I don't know. For right now, this feels like it's the Canderous show almost. At least if we go this direction. Right? Like, this is pulling flavors of Karth, which Canderous was in a lot of the time. Depending on how stacked mission was, sometimes you were happy to see, like, mission or, like, a Zalbar mission double combo get called instead of Canderous. But... I don't know. Ancestral Armor is sick. I don't know that it's gonna be a matchup winner necessarily. Like, it does open up some fun options. Like, if armor, I mean, what's armor's base speed? Armor is gonna like run laps around Darth Revan usually. So like, this does give the team the ability to just be like to have a pre-taunt sometimes if you want. So like, I don't know, if you were, say, fighting a Darth Revan team and wanted to stop 5-man Insanity, that would be there. But also, if we just look at the toolkits, it's not favored for that matchup at all. Like, let's just run down the list. Is it favored for Padme? No. The favor for Geos? I could see it. It would be rough. You would have an okay feeling start. Usually your opening play pattern is going to be armor first, and then Canderous is going second, whether you like it or not. You could mod Canderous for completely speedless, and he's still probably going second. It's just... That's just how Canderous works. That's just the state of his unique right now, and the state of his bug turn meter right now. Yeah, dude is gaining something like... Not 100%, but I think it's ballparking like 60 to 70-ish. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So you have that to deal with. And then like, so what? You don't have like necessarily a way to like combo Sabine Grenade into anything right after it. Padme no, Gas no. CLS probably no. I mean, you could, if you're going this leadership, you could try to stick in Beskar Mandalorian and just try to give this team more, like, brawling potential, I guess. Could be a direction for this. Like, this... I don't know, let's say you give a character a taunt. They get low, but they don't get dispelled somehow. Beskar Mandalorian procs, and then you give them... damage immunity is, like, a funny niche scenario to think about, but that's just... that doesn't tend to be how this game works anymore. It's very, very rare. If there was just like a locked taunt for 1 turn, this would be nuts. But as a dispellable taunt for 2 turns, it's fine. It's okay. But I think of this team versus GG. You're gonna proc B2 like crazy. I mean, this team has a lot of good protection regen. So you do have the opportunity, I think, to just kill a droid, Grievous does AoE, you regen it back up, you top yourself off, kill it, like, you can rinse repeat that pretty easily, right? It sounds okay. But But also the team just doesn't really have any ways to access Grievous beyond we killed all of the other droids first. And the thing that you need to be careful about as well with Sabine Grenade is AoE exposes make it very, very easy to get Grievous Mark tripped immediately. Very, very, very easy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Sabine's Grenade. It always just kind of reads me as an insane ability, right? But just... it's a very packed ability. There's a lot happening in there. But it would kind of have to carry this team almost. Like, if you could run a really, really fast Sabine and just, like, out-mod people, I could see this team being frustrating on defense a little bit. But, like... that feels like a stretch to me. And it also depends on how spoofable. If we're talking about this team's defensive potential, I think with Thrawn Lead, like, if the AI was debuffed, it would just use maneuver pretty much always. It's been a while since I saw Thrawn Lead on defense, though. Like, a long, long while. Gar Lead gives counter plus health back. The problem is that would only be for Gar plus ISC. So... and, like, that's the real tragic part, too, is, like... I just don't know that I see Gar. Gar's only synergy right now is with Armor's armor piece in the faction. I'm a 50% Gar truther. I'm not like Gar is sick, but I think Gar could be fun, and I don't think this team, or this lead, or this kit, is gonna be the one to make that happen, unfortunately. If anything, the lead almost feels like it was specifically written to deny him from being able to help. Like, during their turn is just such a brutal... it just cuts him out completely. I don't know. It's kind of tough to rate. I'm feeling almost like a 3 out of 5 right now. Like, this team, like, you could think of Armor as almost like a Queel, except for Queel gives the whole team 25% turn meter, and Armor just gives Canderous 80%. It's a little bit rough. It feels like, to some degree, this team's identity is just gonna have to be, like, hitting you really hard out of the gate and just being insanely deadly, which is possible, right? Especially if you take Canderous Zeta, and you could do, like, Armor or Mass Assist Opener into Canderous Basic and just try to just drill someone out. That's about the best you got going on before... like, you basically just concede that they're probably going to start going before you after those two things happen. And, like, for what it's worth, Canderous can make offense down. So we have double our protection, and we give the enemy team offense down, which could end up making this team feel fairly bulky. It's also incredibly important to note, Canderous has trash potency. Like, it might be for Gear 12, though. I do want to check his finisher and make sure that they don't sneak in some extra at the ends. Oh my god. It's actually worse than I remember. It's actually literally 0% potency. So yeah, if that was something that you wanted to try... well, okay, he does gain potency for each Mandalorian ally now, so that actually would kind of work again. Fair enough. But you would still have to put extra modding in the budget to try to make that offense down, get anywhere. I don't know. Someone is just gonna have to be like the Relic 7 Or we're looking at Canderous, I volunteer as tribute person to just give it a shot. Be the guinea pig. I don't know. I mean, this really is just the Canderous show right now. I know I've said that already. I'm kind of repeating myself, but just... So, like, yeah, we have the Armor Mesosist. Canderous gets a bunch of meter and then inherits Armorer's speed. Then what you do, Sabine Grenade. And, like, there's a lot that can happen in between these two lines is the issue, which is why I'm kind of cold on this team right now, is there's a lot, like, actually a lot in between these two lines that are assumptions being made about, like, oh yeah, and then we get to play the video game. And, like, we're in a very proactive meta right now. Very few teams just let you do what you want. And I'm not sure. Like, let's just look at the leader list, I guess. Jedi Knight Revan, you could get away with it. You would just be depending on who he marks first. Darth Revan, you could stop his pre-tomp, but then you don't really have a game plan. Also, you can't stagger Darth Revan. And the days against Darth Revan doesn't really matter outside of Marauder. But the days is just giving everyone speed. I don't really see that working. General Skywalker. Canderous can actually drill gas down effectively. Whatever that's worth. It would be hard to get all the clones down to the first stand-up unless Canderous could just drill everything, though. Unless you were drafting Beskar Mandalorian. I guess that's kind of just where we're at right now, is it really just depends on... Like, Queel solves the Whistling Bird problem so cleanly. I guess it's possible, though. It is worth noting that Bo-Katan doesn't have any clauses that say that all Mandalorians need to be there. Like, the team needs to be all Mandalorian. It just says you get bonuses for each one that is there. So we could maybe just see, like, Queel, Bo-Katan lead. But the problem is with Beskar Mando setups, it's designed to just win in one go. You get the turn meter, you record the birds, you do your whole spiel, you finish with the birds, and then ideally the important people are dead, and then you just win. Actually, that being said, though, this might actually be kind of nice for Beskar Mando against Darth Revan. This protection regen and this extra protection is kind of just sick for anti-Malak Drain towards the end. I haven't actually seen how reliable that is. Assuming it's like, you know, assume a Revan with like 2, maybe 3. 3 is a bit of a stretch, but there are some Revans running 3 health primaries. Like, I don't know if Whistling Birds can actually successfully get him out to the point that you would feel good about your cleanup chances. And then, unfortunately, it says whenever a Mandalorian ally attacks out of turn, so there's no, like, IG-11 synergy or anything like that. Because that team can counterattack a lot. It's not Mandalorian who does it ever, though. It's just everyone else alongside him. Veteran Han, Nest, IG-11. Yeah. I mean, yeah, look into the leader list here. Like... Revan, I think with Beskar, yes. Without Beskar, no. I mean, Canderous could drill out Darth Revan. Potentially. But there's still the issue of getting to that point in the first place. Bash slow potentially being faster. I think if you could get this down to Malik last man standing, it's actually not that hard to clean up though. The team-wide protection region is going to feel super nice in that matchup. Bounty Hunters, if they're clocked anywhere near decently, I would call that a really, really scary matchup. Even if you gave all of them offense down, which Django Lee would also make a little bit annoying with the negative potency. Imp Troopers, you would just get trained out of the gate for the most part. You don't get a chance at killing them, assuming that they're clocked to work well on defense. Galactic Legends, I don't really see. Maybe like JML plus Trash Jedi. I don't know. Armor Canderous could maybe drill through JML successfully if it was for like 7. That's a tough bargain though. JML just gets so much crit avoidance at Relegate especially too. I don't think he's that common of a Relegate just yet. You just give it time. People will give it to all their Galactic Legends. There's a lot of crit immunity or crit avoidance to be throwing around here. That's 54% out of gate. Just brutal. Canderous at Relic 7 has 48% crit chance, so is even worse than Vader and Kadibudi, which is wild. Yeah. Yikes. I mean, for what it's worth, Sabine does give him crit chance up. Night Sisters would be okay, but that's not exactly an interesting matchup. Resistance JTR sounds unpleasant. They're gonna go be... Assuming it's like your JTR bros, they're just gonna murder someone that you would prefer to not see murdered. I don't know. I don't see where I would want to use them that much right now. At least in a way that we didn't already have. I think Bo-Katan could flex into Beskar Mando against Grievous pretty nicely. It's not exactly a good usage of her lead that I would want, though. I was really hoping that, like, the Mandalorians are here, they're a new faction, and they're, like, gonna impact the meta. I don't know if I see that here. I'll probably do fine against Gideon lead, though. Is that even true? That might not even be true. Oh my god. Yeah, demoralized. Might just, stop them in their tracks a bit. I guess that is thematically accurate, though. That'll be good against the since AI goes after leader. You have the lead ability that you could use on armor to distract them from, or to stop him, assuming that it's not Malik faster than DR, of course, to stop him from getting the 5-man insanity. You're still getting 2 characters feared. I wouldn't exactly call that awesome. And you're also spending armor as first turn. You would have to do like armor and mass assist into Canderous doing it, which could work. That could be viable, but I don't know. I mean, Canderous with all of his turn meter gains, the fear actually wouldn't end up feeling all that bad, but there's still the issue of AoE crits, Malik just catching you out. I don't think that sounds great. I think we might get another character. I hope so, but how many new releases can we get where it's like, we're just waiting for that other character to make sense. Make this make sense, and it's like, yeah, sure, but at one point is this just kind of not that great of a team? What is the #1 advice in this game? Don't neglect your mods. What clause? Oh, with some sort of revivability? You could make that read, I guess. it does seem out of place considering that revives aren't a part of the Mandalorian faction identity at all. And I wouldn't even say like flexes into their identity at all either. Did you just think that Bo-Katan was gonna enter Phoenix and revitalize that faction? Huh. Yeah, like, if I wouldn't feel that comfortable using this team against, like, bounty hunters, assuming properly clocked bounty hunters that will do, like, a decent amount of TM train on you, like, it's not gonna matter if Canderous gives that offense down. You're still just gonna start getting, like, AoE ability blocked into blah, blah, blah unpleasantness. I don't know. The one thing I will say, I've kind of skimmed over a little bit, is that the AI kind of sucks. The AI is very, very bad at staying on target, assuming, of course, that one of them isn't like a priority target for the AI. You put 2 or 3 tanks in front of the AI, they don't usually, depending on the characters, they don't usually focus on a character well. Some characters are just like programmed to go for the weakest. Malik being the obvious example, most common example. He likes to drain someone who's near death, and will just constantly focus the weakest person on your team. But there are some exceptions, but there are going to be potentially some cases where just you pop taunts on a bunch of people on your team and the AI kind of just gets nothing done. There is some potential room for that. But yeah, it's hard to say. A little bit hard to rate. I like the tools here, but I think that it's less than the sum of its parts almost, which sucks to say. I think this is gonna feel a lot of fun to play. Like you hit a basic and then a Canderous basic happens alongside of it. That's gonna feel sick. He's gonna get crit damage when he does it. That's also gonna feel sick. And then this, I think a lot of people will sleep on this. I think this actually feels a little bit strong to me in a vacuum. This is cool in a vacuum. But a lot of leaderships now have turn meter gain mechanics, have speed mechanics, or have mechanics that make it okay that you don't. And this, for the most part, does not, unfortunately. Right. Yeah, Brington, like, that's true, but that also feels telling to me. The god, this team would be usable if we just had more slots. Yes. That also just hurts to say. Because it's just saying that this team won't impact the meta. If that's the assumption. I do think that there's room to, like, try to come up with some theory crafting ideas. I still like the Hermit Yoda read. I don't think I would, like, you would never take Hermit Yoda or Shakti or anything like that off of your main meta counters just for the sake of this. I also think, I still want to say, like, honorable mention, I think Gideon in this team sounds very, very promising. Sounds very, very promising. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot to like. I would love to see that tested ASAP. Whoever is in a possible position to do it, because you're feeding out crit damage, you're feeding out demoralize, you're helping. The Gideon can essentially. This is the problem with Gideon. This is why I was kind of sad to see Gideon get released. But in this case, as a theory crafting tool, he's excellent. Gideon gives you the speed lead that you didn't get. Gideon can be your Rex. Gideon can be your Yeah, he's just a go first mechanic. You can plug and play him in. This team isn't necessarily picky about 4 or 5 Mandalorians. They're kind of down for whatever. Gideon would enable, like, you go a team of Armorer, Canderous, Bo-Katan, Sabine. It's just gonna work. It's gonna work fine. You're not taking from any other teams. Those are characters that weren't seeing use. That actually sounds pretty strong to me. This is actually a team that I could get behind. This is a team that I can get behind. This feels like this is the other issue of, like, are you gonna give up Gideon just to make an okay team? I don't know if I would even call this just an okay team. This team, the one thing that's tragic here is it sucks that we're having an ordering issue almost. So let's say Gideon, it would be Bo-Katan lead most likely. I don't know if Armorer has to be here, but that's just my assumption. Is there anyone else you would realistically care to chuck in? OG Mando wants to stay with Bounty Hunters. Django wants to stay with Bounty Hunters. And they kind of got left in the dust. And Beskar Mando, I think, wants to stay with his team. Yeah, I think Armor is fine. We have this. I think this also feels pretty okay. This suddenly gives you, like, turn order flexibility. One thing I'm saying there's a little bit of an ordering issue is if the team has, like, tenacity down, then you want Bo-Katan to be fastest. But that means that suddenly we would have to, like, try to predict around Canderous's turn meter so that Canderous has his AoE to go after Sabine. It's just a little bit awkward because at the moment, Sabine grenade into Bo-Katan grenade is, like, a fairly clean gameplay loop that this team could run, and we kind of give that up. But yeah, at least so far, gut reaction, this feels like Gideon feels almost required here in a way that kind of bums me out, but that's just kind of his role and how he works and what this team needs. Because this team is just way too passive otherwise. I think with Gideon in the mix, this league can suddenly just feel a little bit more proactive as well. And also, like, Ancestral Armor with Demoralized isn't going to feel bad. And also, Ancestral Armor will do a decent job of playing Protect the Gideon as well, which I think is noteworthy. Like, there are multiple layers to why I think that this is a good idea. Aside from the fact that you just spent Gideon in this team instead of the many other places. Gideon has places to be right now. I don't even know if this is worth taking notes on. This is just my final rating. Like, if you want this team to be playable, I don't know if there's any other character that A, has the speed, and B, has the style of mechanics needed to get your team out front. And then the turn order, you could go multiple ways. Again, I think Sabine fastest would feel nicest. If they have opening tenacity or anything that would stop you from getting that AoE exposed, then you would need to have Bo-Katan there instead. But yeah, aside from the fact that he massacred their people, Gideon seems to be friendly with Mandalorians in a decent way. And, you know, I mean, this is triple attacker with double support core. Like, you know, the hope being, I would assume, that this unique will do a decent job of making a team full of attackers feel a little bit less like a team full of attackers. I think that's pretty safe to assume. Like, in this case, plus 80% max protection, Gideon hands out Demoralized. You're going to feel pretty okay with it for the most part. Would this team change any matchups, though? To me, that's the money question. Is like, what does this team kill, even with the Gideon investment? Grievous probably feels okay. Demoralize reduces his crit damage and crit chance, but the offense doesn't matter for Grievous himself. Bounty Hunters sounds alright. You would probably just dogpile that team. Yeah, Bounty Hunters would get wrecked. Anime still probably no. CLS still probably no, or at least sounds very risky. Nah, CLS I wouldn't trust. JTR, I've done Gideon versus JTR. It's not terrible. As long as Gideon outspeeds BB-8, which isn't too hard. Depending on your speed investment on him, it's alright. You kill Finn fairly easily that way too. Yeah, that matchup would feel okay. Darth Revan. Tough to call. There are enough tools there. I would not be surprised if you could slug it out with Darth Revan and come out ahead. And like, you could even... Yeah, like, even if you don't necessarily get the Revan kill off the bat, you could try to set yourself up so that they can't really do anything to you or do much to you. It's a little bit tragic almost, but this tenacity up when you taunt is by no means bad. Obviously, tenacity up is a great buff. You're pretty much happy to see it wherever you get it. I almost kind of wish it was crit immunity. Obviously, in some senses, the hope is that armor is giving that person crit immunity, so this is giving them something that they weren't getting already. Can't team our DR with Gideon because of Demoralized. Oh, fuck, that's right. Every single time. I'm usually pretty good about calling that out, too. Like, I called it out with Sabine Stagger, but just... and I've corrected people on it multiple times in the past. Just unlucky, I guess. I am a little bit sleep deprived. Bear with me here. Mon Mothma, easy win. Night Sisters should... A bit of a room for mess, but you at least have play control in a way that it should stack up to be fine. Geos... Bo-Katan gives you access to spy pretty quickly. The problem is, I don't know if this team can afford... Like... It feels like you almost need Bo-Katan's second fastest in this team. Assuming that she can be without like significant speed loss. Or without like having to slow down the rest of the team. We don't know her base speed. But like Dispels, the problem with like the Sabine into Bo-Katan ideas, you don't want Dispels to hit late usually. Sabine second into Bo-Katan third could feel okay. Into Armor fourth. If Beskar is in the squad. I'm talking pretty much only about this. I don't want to disrupt the BAM team. Then again, Gideon is disruptive in itself for other teams, but... As a new team identity, this feels like it has to be it. Trying to look. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised too that the Mandalorian Beskar armor wasn't rewritten for Mandalorians. Like in his lead, it says for each scoundrel ally at the start of battle, it makes no mention of Mandalorians, and he didn't get rewritten. I don't know. And yeah, even Protective Intuition isn't gonna proc off of Mandalorians falling below 75% health. Only Scoundrels. It's strange. It's very strange to me. So like he would only synergize with Canderous. Canderous, OG Mando if you happen to decide to go that direction, or like you're doing a Galactic Challenge. It's kind of clunky. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that we've said most of what there is to say. It just, oh god. Without, like, this team is just way too passive, and it doesn't have enough defensive mechanics. That's my read. Like, the defensive mechanics force you to sacrifice your turn to do it, which doesn't quite work, right? It's a Padme that doesn't get the automatic protection up. You would have to just skip your turn, for example. Padme is like the best example that I have, but like, think of Karth, right? Because even Karth is very, very similar to this. Karth got its defensive tools automatically. Karth gave you the crit avoidance automatically, and you know, it's only what, 30%, but the tools were there, and that team's not seeing play. So without something, I do think that this team has more good stuff to play with than Karth does. There's more to work with. There's more to feel good about. But yeah. A little bit unfortunate. Alright. I think I'm good there. I'm extremely tired. I honestly might just go crash for a little bit. This is cool. I'm hopeful. We'll see. Of course, we need to see her numbers. We don't know what her final math is going to look like, her final speed. She could just be ridiculously fast, and we don't know it yet. And that could also just happen. We'll see. This is just the text judgment. The text is okay. You know, this one seems pretty sick. This unique is not bad by any means. This unique will make or break certain matchups, right? Like, this much protection regen matters against DR. Could matter against Gas if you try to pull that off. Not bad by any means, so we'll see. Alright, I think I'm good there. I'll stop streaming. Thank you all for the donations and support. Thank you all for stopping by. I would say have a good rest of your evening, but we're like still in the afternoon, so whatever time it is for you, hope you have a good one of those. Alright, peace out.